The following is a response to the current discussion going on about the Urban Combat Survivor safe zone market. Just to let anyone in on it who may not be aware of it, Urban Combat Survivor and I, we're YouTube friends, and I may say a couple of things in this video that may come off as like an insult or whatever, but you need to understand that we're just talking here and we're hatching out a scenario. Also, the scenarios that we're depicting are, it's just a little bit of a disclaimer. We're not talking about setting up a cult or here or anything else. This is just an educational exercise. But what I would like to do is offer the benefits of my viewpoint on the topic of this marketplace and security. Real quick, in this particular exercise, Urban Combat Survivor sets up a safe zone in Philadelphia. And within this safe zone, people are offered the opportunity to live in an area where they don't have to be in constant fear and on guard themselves. Guard is a rotational type scenario, and it's an attempt to bring about a cohesive community, and give some individual groups an opportunity for security and strength in an otherwise very, very terrible situation. Recently, we initiated a discussion about how it'd be beneficial in the long run to open up a marketplace where various people, nomads, whatever, could come into a portion of the safe zone and trade their goods that they may have in exchange for items that people within the safe zone would have. Now, one of the keys that we discussed, though, had to do with security, where Urban Combat Survivor is a bit of a proponent about having people that aren't trusted within the safe zone are not allowed the privilege of being armed. And then further within this marketplace is he would prefer not to be some kind of a policeman. But just to construct a safe zone type outpost in an area the size of Philadelphia would bring you to the problem of, in order to even secure an area, secure an outpost, what you have to do, cat keeps playing with a tripod. What you have to do is you need to create a buffer area around your particular outpost. So if, for example, the outpost you construct would be, say, your borders are more or less the shape of a pentagon to allow maximum overlapping lines of sight and lines of fire. In order to guarantee security, or at least perhaps guarantee is not such an appropriate word, but to ensure security for the people that you've just disarmed, what you will want is an actual area outside of the safe zone, which you will need a security force to secure. And the range of that, you would have to get some intelligence and determine, ideally, the maximum range of what any sort of weaponry that your opponent will use against it against your outpost here, and you honestly just want to do your best to set up a demilitarized zone without allowing your enemy to approach any further than that. And the further out you can go, the better. And what you need to have, I feel what you really need to have is an appreciation for the equipment that a roving group of bandits would have. I mean, we're talking military-grade assets. Some of your larger mortars can fire a long, long way. Same goes with artillery. And it could have a devastating effect upon your outpost. And if what you're offering is a safe zone type security, if me as an opposing force knows this, what I would work to do would be to take away the perception of safety. That would be my primary mission. And then once that perception of safety goes away, then I would be able to then go in and do what I wanted to do with your outpost. But what this DMZ in this area would require would be you're going to actually have to have some full-time security personnel. And the number of those people to secure an area that size would be very, very great. And it would take quite a bit to maintain those people. They're going to be burning much more calorie. They're going to be burning many more calories than what your average, tomato plant grower would be doing inside the safe zone. But it'll be worth it, because the amount that you can secure here in order to minimize the damage to your outpost would greatly multiply that secure area. But what will end up happening though with your triggers that you're going to have out in this area, I mean, they're going to be taking heat, they're going to be getting hurt. Like I said, burning a lot of calories, using up ammunition, other supplies. They're going to be wearing out their boots. And but that will be something that you're going to have to put into consideration. So when I mention this, the reason why I do it is when you say you don't want to be a police force, you are in fact going to have to be the sheriff of this particular area of operation. And that's going to be the bottom line. And whether you like it or not, you would be the police force. Now, some of the things that you would want to consider changing in your out-and-out philosophy, and this is something that I continue to go back to when I think of your safe zone scenario, is I do understand the purpose that you would have for people not having firearms who you do not trust. But the thing is, where do you draw the line? At what point is the switch thrown? And okay, all of a sudden, well, the Constitution is a bunch of BS, and a person's Bill of Rights, and the person's rights are a bunch of BS, and you shouldn't have a gun because I say so. It makes a difference. I understand that it makes a difference that, okay, it would be secure for you as a person to say, well, I do not trust this person, you will have to surrender your firearms at the gate. I understand the point of view, but in the long run, what would end up happening, you would have people who would in fact believe in a right to bear arms, and they would feel in fact at that point that their rights would have in fact been violated in order to approach your area. The long term of that is actually going to be obvious. The long term of that is going to be resentment, because I'm going to be honest, I feel that what people are going to want would be like a slice of what Americana used to be. They would want an area where they are able to live out the best parts of what the founding fathers intended. And I think that's worthy of examining. Why would there be a difference now when we say, well, if everybody were armed, it'd be a much better, much safer place, versus when you set up your safe zone. When you set up your safe zone, why not be like that country where every person is armed with the strongest firearm that you possibly have, and crime is seriously low. When do we throw that switch that says, okay, this is my area of operation, and what I say goes? Man, I just can't imagine that working out in the long run. And you will end up with people that would be at the point where they are sacrificing their liberty for security. And I can't imagine that playing out any different in a SHTF scenario than it does in our current life. Because wherever you go, there you are. And how much of your own liberty are you willing to risk in order for security? And in reality, if you're willing to risk so much of that liberty, then you do not deserve security and you will not receive it. And that's just, I don't want to say it's a law of nature, but I like to think of it as a bit of a law of nature. And it's a law of human nature. And people aren't going to dig it. But I mean, if in fact you do accept and understand my point of view on having these patrols and maybe forward operating bases in different areas that these guys patrol from outside of the outpost, setting up your extremely hardcore no BS buffer, and we're talking some pretty serious. This is a pretty serious area right here. There's not going to be room for bleeding hearts. It's going to be cold and hard. But if you accept that particular scenario and the need for the security forces that are in fact full time, then what you're actually looking at, your ability to provide that security force, you're going to be able to. I'm imagining if you stretch things out well enough, because these security force people, they're not going to be providing anything other than the security. However, that's a top priority. But what you'll need to do, I would imagine, you will need four regular citizens within your community per every one of your security, because these guys are just dead weight. I'm real interested. Responses are open. Anything you guys have to say on it, I'm very interested in. I think this is a healthy exercise, and I hope I didn't offend anyone, but it had been weighing on me quite a bit to say, what's the difference between now and our liberties versus shit hits the fan and our liberties. Thank you all for listening, and for all of you that made it this far into the video. And we'll be seeing you soon.